Hello friends, welcome back to my channel. Today I'm going to be talking about an important thing, how to be unstoppable. And the answer is resilience. But before we jump right into this video, this series is going to be about how to do things and how to become a certain aspect that you want to become. And the answer is always going to be one word, which will be carrying the theme of the video. So stick around to know today how to be unstoppable. And just remember, why do we want to be unstoppable? Because we know that the moment we feel like something is holding us back, or we're being delayed, or just procrastinating, you are going to waste a lot of time that we have in our lives. So I made a couple of points that work for me, and I think that it's really good to be able to share how to be unstoppable, because I feel like I've carried myself in a way that I don't want anything to stop me, whether it's an emotion, whether it's a person. So there's a lot of aspects of that. There's a lot of angles that you can take and pillars that will help you to become resilient. So stick to the end and let me know if you have any extra points that you would like me to share on the next video. First things first, before we jump right into this video, I know it's been a while and I have been focusing on my master's, and there's a lot going on in my life in terms of like being able to focus on things at once. But YouTube is a passion of mine that I really want to be able to pursue in a way that I would want to research as much as, putting effort into making a video, writing a script. I think it really helps me. And in general, I was telling my friend about this the other day, is that everyone should have a YouTube channel. Whether it takes off or not, I think it helps you articulate yourself, and it also helps you like research areas of your life that otherwise would look like just basically reading. But when you're researching, for example, taking effort into writing a video of how to be unstoppable, in the process you're researching and you're also like putting your thoughts together, which kind of like works, and like you probably will never forget it. The first section about how to be unstoppable today is about building mental resilience. It's important to understand that when we go through a lot of stress in our lives, we need to figure out a strategy of bouncing back. Because if you're not training your brain in a way that's like, I have already approached this with little to no expectations, regardless of what it is, it's just being able to prevent the consequence of a disappointment and adversity in general. It's like you're allowing your brain to be ready for anything. So in that sense, whether it's you feel like your heart is also involved, but we're talking about the mind aspect of things. Research in psychology suggests that it's not about enduring difficulties, but it's about the ability to thrive in the face of them. So going through these little struggles that you go in your life, psychology looks at it that it's how do you face them when you're going through them. It's not how big the impact is, it's how did you respond to it. So it's important for us to understand that just like we know we can prevent a lot of things from happening, we can also prevent the consequences of what would go through our minds the moment we are at severe stress. So that would be mental resilience, building that ability for you to know that it will happen, but how do I prevent it is the question. Section 2 of how to be unstoppable is overcoming setbacks. This one is my favorite because I love to look at failures or setbacks as areas of growth, room for improvement. So being able to understand that setback is part of everyone's life. You're not special if you feel like you're the only one who's going through that. And honestly, I would feel happier knowing that I'm able to fail at some things, because failure just means you're trying. And if you don't fail, you're not trying. Maybe you should try harder, because the more you fail, just as the mental resilience we were talking about earlier, the more you fail, the more you're training yourself to be able to handle coming back from setbacks. So it's just like mental resilience, but that is something you prevent in a way that's like you're having an approach to your mind on how to analyze things once it happens. So with mental resilience, it's not the same as overcoming setbacks, because for mental resilience, you're having a mental prevention in a way that's like, for example, not having too much high expectations, knowing that whether something works or not, how would that look like for you, how could you avoid it. But when you're overcoming setbacks, it's like, how quick could you get back up harder and take the lessons from your failures to the next win. So for me, it's like if I failed in something, okay, mental resilience in my mind would be like setting myself up for disappointment. Because when you're setting up yourself for disappointment, or not into that extreme, but you're not overly expecting anything that would like kind of like crush your mind. So it's that mind aspect of it. But when you're talking about overcoming setbacks, this is more like Okay, I'm actually making a plan. What if it doesn't work? If I apply for something, what if I don't get in? What is my backup plan? So these are actually like, you're doing these things, planning them, and it kind of helps in general because this whole video is about how to be unstoppable, right? So these little things, when you can plan them in advance, you're actually allowing yourself to not be stopped. You're allowing yourself not to be pulled back by anything in your life. So these two sections come together, and I think it's important to know what works for us by writing down a strategy and trying it out and see if we can play around with different approaches, and whichever works, continue using it until you figure out other methods. Section 3 is also one of my favorites because it's all about adapting to change, having that flexibility in your mind and understanding that change is inevitable. So for us, when we go through situations and we know that we have to have that resilience to change our approach or to change our beliefs in something, and I'm not talking about one thing, I'm talking about in your life, being able to just have your mind ready for change, for adversity in general. And that is important because psychology has also proven that this is very important aspect and pillar for resilience. So it also ties back to that first point of mental resilience. But in general, adapting to change, just like you expect things to not happen and you're expecting disappointment, and in a way that you're lowering your expectations, expecting and adapting to change is very important because we will always be in this, dynamic that's like moving and changing, and being able to adapt to it is very important for our self-growth and for our minds to be able to say, hey, I'm not shocked. This is something I've been doing. I've been experiencing so much changes in my life. But what do? I have to just accept the fact that this is inevitable. And once you do that, it's also a mental thing. Like it's your mind telling you, hey, like it's okay to go through change. Don't be shocked about it. It's fine. And to that point, research has also shown that for those who are able to change their mindset in the face of challenges are those who actually take it a step further, because now you're kind of challenging your own beliefs and thoughts that as I mentioned earlier, but in the middle of a challenge. That's like you're actually stretching your ability to analyze and to respond to things in the middle of challenges. So as your life goes on, you're going to have harder challenges, but you would have had this resilience of being able to respond to things in the midst of hardships. So just understand that, accepting the fact that change is inevitable, and know that, the more you do it in the midst of challenge, you're actually preparing yourself, setting up yourself for success in the future. So the fourth section that I want to talk about today, which is very important, and just bear in mind, this has no order. There's no order to this. It's just like how I put it. Every point is as important as the other. Section 4 is maintaining focus on our goals. I think when you have a well-defined goal and you're following them with a sense of purpose, this is actually building resilience, because you're able to understand that, hey, like that whatever failure or something didn't work for me was an objective as a derivative of what my future goals are. So now when you have that sense of purpose tied to the end goal, you're able to bounce back, you're able to be resilient and just come back and say, hey, this is not what it's not my end goal. I'm not going to stop. So you can continue working on it with that sense of purpose and knowing that it doesn't matter if one objective wasn't achieved. It's the goal that matters at the end of the day. Actually, research has shown that, and these are longitudinal studies, which means that they're collecting data on the same people over time. There might be loss of follow-up, there might be new recruits, but when they have looked at success, how it's tied to long-term success, how it's tied to resilience, they found that people who had this purpose of goals and they're setting it in a long-term basis, they're more likely to be successful, because now they're understanding that the goal is the end game and these objectives are just parts of the end goal. So being able to have that in your mind, it's 100% tied to success, because we don't define success, or the metric of a success is not based on how much times we succeeded. It's actually how much times we failed and then succeeded from that and learned from it and move forward from it. So understanding that long-term success is tied to resilience is an important point for this one. Last but not least is cultivating a positive mindset. Having a positive mindset to things, it's so important. And it's not saying that you shouldn't expect any challenges. It's just more like you're having an optimistic approach when you're going into these challenges. Like they say, look at the brighter side, right? You need to always have this positive mindset, because I believe we attract positivity, and energy kind of comes to us when you're like worried about something so much, something you cannot control. Imagine you cannot control it, you cannot change it, but you're going in with an optimism and you're able to have that positive mindset to things. Nothing will disappoint you as much because it doesn't matter what happened. We're all gonna go through things. It's about how you set your mind up to expect things, and whether or not even if it's not what you expected, how could I still have a positive approach about it? So being positive is super important for you and for the people around you as well, because you're actually bringing that positive vibe, the positive energy that you're setting up. You set the environment that you want to live in, and you set the environment of friendships that you want to have by bringing that positive mindset to the table. So here are a couple of strategies that I use to integrate positivity into my mind every day. I do mindfulness in a way that's like, I just allow myself to be present in my mind and kind of away from the troubles of the world. And in that process of understanding where my life is right now, I give myself gratitude, and I just thank God for everything that I have. And it's important to know that, like, when you're giving yourself words of affirmation, your mind is believing everything you say. So imagine if you're cultivating that habit every single day, over time you'll kind of naturally become that positive person. Like, and it's super important. Like, I just love having positive people around me, because no matter what's going on in the world, there's always that aspect of optimism that will change things to the better. So I really hope you liked this video, and I think that in general we need to learn how to be unstoppable by building resilience, whether it's in our mind, our souls, our body, with setbacks, failures. Everything that we go through in life is inevitable, but how do you approach it is up to you, and that is the positivity that you need in your life today. Please don't forget to add a comment on what you think works for you on becoming unstoppable, what you think about this video, and what other content you would like to consume. And please don't forget to like and subscribe. Apparently it helps the algorithm. Bye.